Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So here of
Waalaikumsalam.
so today we will present about science and nature in the Birthmark story. So we are from group 9. There are Anisa, Mahdiana, Awalin, and me, Ardhelia, Cintara, Dwiki, Adini Amalia, and Anjani, Vicka. Next, please. First is about science. Next. Definition of science. Science, from Latin scientia, or knowledge, is a systematic enterprise that builds knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions about the world. The earliest roots of science can be traced to ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia in around 3000 to 1200 BCE. Their contribution to mathematics, astronomy, and medicine entered and shaped Greek natural philosophy of classical antiquity, whereby formal attempts were made to provide explanation of events in the physical world based on natural causes. And then definition of science according to the dictionary is the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. Next, please. Science in the Story of the Birthmark. Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote The Birthmark at a time when the scientific method was being glorified and people were starting to think science really could take us anywhere we wanted to go. He said his story about 60 years earlier, in the 100-year-long wake of the Newtonian revolution, in the age of enlightenment, when science was gaining its momentum. His story argues that despite the general optimism, science really does have its limitations. There are certain things that humans are not privileged to know, not capable of doing. It is not only ignorant, the story seems to say, but downright dangerous to try and play God. Next, please. Hello. Next, please.
Okay, so I'll continue. Form of science in Birthmark story. So as you know before, as Adele said, science is the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. So this is the form or the example of science form in Birthmark story. First, they were to seclude themselves in the extensive apartment occupied by Elmer as a laboratory, and where, during his toilsome years, he had made discoveries. In this sentence, he had made discoveries. It shows that Elmer, and where during his toilsome youth he had made discoveries in the elemental powers of nature that had roused the admiration of all the learned societies in Europe. So in this first example of form of science, Elmer made discovery about his according to his science admiration. So the next, in order to suit Georgiana and as it were to release her mind from the burden of actual things, Elmer now put in practice. Word Elmer now put in practice here so that Elmer also do something for science experiment or science observation. This is the example of the science he made or discovered airy figure absolutely bodiless ideas and form of unsubstantial beauty came and danced before her, imprinting their momentary footstep on beams of light. So the next, when we read of this, Elmer bade her cast her eyes upon a vessel containing a quantity of earth. She did so, with little interest at first, but was soon startled to perceive the germ of a plant shooting upward from the soil. Then came the slender stalk. The leaves gradually unfolded themselves, and amid them was a perfect and lovely flower. So in this part, Elmer make an experiment on a flower. So the next, Elmer reappeared and proposed that she should now examine his cabinet of chemical products and natural treasure of the earth. Among the former he showed her a small phial in which he remarked was contained a gentle yet most powerful fragrance capable of impregnating all the breezes that blows across a kingdom. So in this example, it shows Elmer discover he discovered the most powerful fragrance that capable of impregnating all the breezes that blows across a kingdom. So there's a conversation between Elmer and his wife. "Do not mistrust me, dears," said her husband, smiling. "Its virtuous potency is yet greater than its harmful one. But see, here is a powerful cosmetic. With a few drops of this in a vase of water, freckles may be washed away as easily as the hands are cleansed. A stronger infusion will take the blood out of the cheek and leave the roses beauty a pale ghost." In this part, Almer try to make her wife trust him by showing her the powerful cosmetic power to what. Okay, so the alchemical process in removing Georgiana's birthmark. Okay, that's all.
Okay, now I will talk about the nature. Nature, next, the definition of nature. The idea of nature is at the very core of science, considered as its flagship and deepest link with human societies. There are many theories of the definition of nature. The first, that is, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, nature is a creative and controlling force in the universe and the external world in its entirety or humankind's original condition. And there is also from the New Oxford American Dictionary describe nature as the phenomena of the physical world collectively, including plants, animals, the landscape, and other features and products of the earth, as opposed the humans or human creation. And also the basic or inherent features of something, especially when seen as characteristic of it, or the innate or essential qualities or character of a personal or animal. Next, and the last theories of nature of from Jürgen Mittelstra. Nature is not a simple concept for at least three reasons. First of all, nature, meaning the physical universe, is in itself an evolving nature. It is neither fixed nor always the same. There is biological evolution, such as genetic diversity and variation, and derivatively. So, it can be inferred that nature is the original physical condition or character of something in the universe. Next will be explained by my friend Anjani. Time is yours. Anjani, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Adini. Okay, now we are moving on the example of nature in the Birthmark. As we know, Elmer cannot accept Georgina nature as nature made her, and instead feel driven to use his scientific knowledge to erase what he sees as nature's imperfection. The birthmark on Georgina's face is, by definition, a mark that formed in the womb. It is an entirely natural occurrence, and the narrator implies that the mark exists for a reason, to keep Georgina imperfect enough to remain an earthly being. As we know, that nature, that are already explained by Adini, implies a sense of the divine. Since in a traditional Christian view, God created the natural world. In working to change nature, then Elmer also attempts to change God's creation. And then the next is Georgiana is a distinctly natural force in the story. She is naive to the science of her husband and is happy to leave nature well enough alone. As observed when he asks her to pluck a beautiful flower, "It is magical," cried Georgiana. "I dare not to touch it." Georgiana's inevitable demise for her vulnerability to Elmer's science is ultimately a statement on nature's helplessness against man's incessant need to wreak destruction upon it in an attempt to control it. Okay. Okay, thank you for our presentation today. I will take it back to my friends.
Okay, thank you, Vicka. So here's our presentation today. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.